So if you're looking for the best quality bookshelf speakers or the best quality speakers for your desktop setup, or a really compact high quality set of speakers for your TV setup, then in the past a lot of audiophiles would have recommended you the KEF LSXI. However, there is a new challenger for those titles, and it is the KEF LSXII. And you're probably here because you're looking for the answer to the question, what is the Matrix? Okay, I'm only joking. You're here because you want to know what's the upgrades, what's new and improved on the KEF LSXII. You're in the right place, so let's go. So visually, they are incredibly similar to the first generation LSX, because why change an already winning design? Which I'm assuming cost KEF quite a lot of money, because they did get industrial designer Michael Young to design these, and his name is still pride of place here on the LSXII. Anyway, what KEF have done in terms of design changes is introduce some new colorways, with the new lineup consisting of a mineral white color, a lava red, which both have a matte satin and high gloss finish. Then we've got the cobalt blue and special Soundwave edition, which I was very close to choosing because Soundwave is my favorite transformer, but also because this particular one was designed by Terence Conran, who has now sadly passed away, which probably makes these more valuable than before. But I did decide to go for the carbon black in the end. And just like the cobalt blue, the carbon black has this special Swedish designer Kvadrat fabric on it, and I hope I said that right. And just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what to look out for when it comes to color changes within the new designs, I'm going to compare the black model that I have here to the LSX1 carbon black model. So on the generation 1 LSX carbon black, we had this red accent at the center of the UniQ driver array, and that red also carried over to the port on the back. With the new second generation LSX, at the center we now have contrasting shades of gold on and around the tweeter, and that satin gold carries over to the port on the back. We've got the same beautiful satin grey around the cone, and the matte black rippled surround remains the same. And whilst the 11th gen UniQ driver remains the same as the previous model, there's a lot of upgrades going on behind the scenes. So let me show you what I'm talking about. On the LSX2 is a shiny new HDMI audio return channel, more commonly known as an ARC. So what this will allow you to do is plug a HDMI cable from your TV or media player straight into the speakers. Now the advantage of this is the fact that there is no equipment in between, therefore there's going to be no latency issues or lag, so you're not going to see any lip sync issues with the content you're watching and the speakers. And what makes this even better is if you have a modern TV with an enhanced ARC port, then you will get proper lossless audio quality from your TV or media player straight to the speakers. And this edition also opens the door to HDMI CEC, Consumer Electronics Control. So what this means is your TV remote can control the volume on the speakers, and the speaker remotes can also control the volume for the TV. The two devices will speak to each other and share controls. So the next big upgrade is the addition of a USB-C input on the back, allowing you to hook these directly up to a laptop or a PC with a single cable. So this makes things nice and simple, eliminating the need for extra wires or equipment, essentially making the KEF LSX2 an incredibly easy to use hi-fi plug and play solution for almost any office or studio setup. And one of the advantages of using this USB-C connection as opposed to an analog connection, from my own experience, is it eliminates any interference from electronics. And trust me, I have a lot of electronics going on under this desk, and over USB-C you do get 192 kilohertz 24-bit audio as well, so proper high res. And there is an option within the KEF Connect app to switch the USB port into KW1 power mode, which turns the output into a power delivery port for charging phones, tablets, laptops, watches, flux capacitors. And the rest of the ports on the back of the LSX2 remain the same as generation 1, with an optical, an auxiliary, a dedicated port for the sub if you want to add one. And of course the KEF KC62 is the recommended sub for these speakers. And then you've got the RJ45 ports. There is an input for wired internet, which opens the door to UPnP network playback via a NAS drive, for example. And there is support for 24-bit 384 kilohertz, so that means DSD, FLAC, WAVE, all of those files are supported, plus a ton more, but they will be downsampled. And that takes me nicely on to the other RJ45 port on the back. This one is an output, and it's for a hardwire link between the left and right speakers using a Cat6 Ethernet cable. And a word to the wise, if you do buy an LSX speaker, 1 or 2, I do recommend you use the wire, because whilst the wireless connection between the two speakers is pretty stellar at 24-bit 48 kHz, if you do use the wire, the playback actually jumps up to 24-bit 96 kHz. So if you care about audio, then like Shia LaBeouf says, do it! Or if you have no idea who he is anymore, like the evil emperor says, do it. Because using the wire will make your sound better. So let's talk about some more of the upgrades that KEF have made, and this one is specific to the sound quality. The digital signal processing algorithm has been leveled up. KEF say the LSXII output delivers a perfectly timed performance and should be clear and accurate and more well balanced. Which means in the eyes of the KEF sound engineers who calibrated this speaker, these are going to be better than the LSXI, which is crazy to think because the Gen 1 LSX speaker was so heavily praised. But what seems to be the biggest area for improvement that KEF have really focused on the LSXII is the connectivity, and you can see that in the way that they've added the HDMI ARC and the USB-C ports now. But they've also decided to level up their wireless game, so now there is no need for external wireless streaming devices. It's all built in. They're calling it the Advanced W2 wireless platform, and I must say it works seamlessly. AirPlay 2 is supported, so multi-room is possible even if your speakers are not the same brand. Chromecast is available. You can use Spotify, Deezer, Qboz, Room and Tidal, and when it comes to Wi-Fi bands, it uses Wi-Fi 2.4 and 5 GHz. And all you need to control everything is the KEF Connect app. When the original KEF LSX launched, you actually needed 2 apps, one to control the device and the other for streaming. Now it's all in one, and it's been simplified. There's nothing overly complicated about the app, and I just love how in 2 minutes you can literally configure the speakers for the positioning in the room and the type of room that they're in. And if you are an audiophile and you know what you're doing, there is an expert mode that allows you to get very granular with the audio adjustments and fine-tuning, so they've catered for the wider audience and the audiophiles at the same time. And there's quite likely to be more improvements made in the future with software updates. And before I tell you what I think of the sound quality, I just want to highlight some of the things that were so good on the LSXI that KEF felt there was no need to upgrade. For example, the UniQ driver. This is the 11th generation of the UniQ driver, and it's been perfected over 30 years. And the reason it's so brilliant is because of the way the little golden aluminium tweeter sits right at the center of the magnesium alloy cone. Quite often with speaker designs, we see tweeters and mids and subs separate within the baffle board of a speaker. With this approach to the setup, everything's coming from one source, which KEF says enlarges the sweet spot for the audio in a room. And just like the previous version of the KEF LSX, both speakers are active speakers, meaning they have their own power supply. They both have dual amplifiers, one for the high frequencies, one for the low frequencies. The high frequency amplifier delivers 30 watts of power, and the low frequency delivers 70 watts of power. Combined, both speakers deliver 200 watts of power, and at 1 meter distance, 102 decibel sound pressure level, and that's some pretty powerful stuff. Of course, I have put them to the test, and I can say the accuracy in the sound is brilliant. The details are exceptional. The sound separation is so distinct. The stereo imaging is phenomenal. I did test out some 360 reality audio, and the spatial sound works really nicely with these speakers as well. Overall, the sound performance is very impressive, and vocals are so clear. It's so hard to fault this speaker. And even though I'm a bit of a bass head, the bass output on these are enough for me. Yes, you could add a sub if you're really into that heavy bassline music, but I think they're good as they are. So if you're trying to decide between the LSXI and the LSXII, my opinion is if you're into a lot of streaming apps and you're using them mainly as your source of music, then definitely go LSXII. It's going to be more seamless for you, and it's going to be more future-proof. If you're buying the speakers for one specific use case, let's say for a record deck or something like that, then the LSXI is perfect for you. For me, for video editing and for the way that this setup works, it's just perfect. And if I want to, I can take them downstairs, plug them into the TV for some proper cinematic, high fidelity sound. So really, they're so universal now. And if ease of use is important to you, then definitely go with LSXII. So thank you guys for watching this one. If you got any kind of value out of it, I would appreciate a thumbs up. You just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man, and I will see you in the next one, so don't be late.